Hey guys, what's going on? So Blade Dancer was basically my first unit that I maxed out. It's always been my favorite. I think if I had to pick an off meta favorite card, I think I would always pick Zealot. I've always I can just hear somebody being like, I watched your stream and you said that your favorite is Zealot. Zealot is technically my favorite card in the game, in terms of just everything like that it does. I like the idea that it needs Cauldron. I like the idea that it, just the interaction. I wish it were better, obviously. But I remember like when I first maxed out a Zealot and I was really excited when it got talents and then I tried it and I tried it in PvP at the time and I could just never make it work. And it's no better today than it was before. And so so if I had to move on from that unit, it would be Blade Dancer. And for the longest time, whenever I was playing, I loved Blooming Dash Blade Dancer. And it was always just one of my favorite decks. It was always one of my favorite decks because it was a non-meta deck. Nobody cared about Blooming Dash. Floral Frenzy became the thing when Scrapper got talents, but this was pre-Scrapper talents, pre-Dryad talents, I think. And I was playing Blooming Dash ever since Blade Dancer got talents. And I was just like, I was trying like so desperately to make it work with a Portal Keeper. And the thing that I've always wanted was Portal Keeper talents. And then they gave us Gunslinger. And when they gave us Gunslinger, I was so excited that Blooming Dash was going to become meta. And then it did. With a Fortuna, it was getting like 7 minutes. It was crazy. This is obviously a lot of time after that. And I always try to pick Treant. I think that Treant it should technically be better. But I wanted to go back, just to try it. And yeah, I got this game. If you were able to see my screenshot, this is the thing that I'm going to use as my screenshot. So I'm going up against, this is like a very perfectly even matchup in terms of crit. 5621 to 5696 is about as even as you can ask for. They're running a 95 Mermaid, which pairs very well with my 95 Gadget, right? So there's not even like a legendary difference, a legendary hero difference. If there was a legendary hero difference, like if this guy had like a level 100 Zeus, if this guy had a level 100 Fortuna, I probably would die. I would probably just immediately die. He's not running the Stasis version, which means that it's a much fairer game, because it's just strictly damage. He is rocking a level 15 Phoenix, a level 15 Kobold. He has a Scrapper reincarnation so that he can get 1 extra percentage. He does have a level 12 Trapper, and then he's running a Gunslinger with Ghost Link as opposed to High Charisma, which I think is definitely the wrong choice, but maybe it's not. I don't know. And I'm basically running what you would probably expect out of this. This is Sharpened Spear, Barrier, Stone Legion, Blooming Dash, Elegant Parry, Serrated Blades. Scrapper is left, right, right. And then Gunslinger, left, right, right as well. A couple of things to note, maybe. I am running a Hunter's Jacket, specifically because since I'm running a Forest Faction sword and a Forest Faction Amulet of Swiftness, I'm able to get the 10% and boost off of that, even though my 2 equipment aren't maxed out. Obviously, these could be maxed out and be better, but I'm running a Knight Sword and an Amulet of Swiftness. Amulet of Swiftness is just easier to use because then I can rearrange my setup based on the gold tiles that I get. And the normal setup that I like running is double T setup with Sharpened Spear in the far corners, in the upper left and bottom right, or upper right and then bottom left, and then bouncing off tiles on the sides. And then everything on the edges, obviously, are going to get the bonus, even though the 2 in the center will not. When you have the 1 in the center, and then you have another 1 in the center so that you can bounce off of. once you hit somewhere in the area of 100 stacks. So I'm going to play this game, and what ends up happening is I try to do the double C setup, but then all my gadget tiles end up going onto the left side, and so like mid-game, I'm able to just rearrange my entire field, and it just works out. This is me with basically perfect connection. Your mileage will vary because of the Scrapper Gunslinger interaction. If you find that you have less, like, not very great internet connection, what I would recommend is getting a Scrapper and a Gunslinger as fast as you can in the beginning, and then just getting your Gunslinger to 7. Literally just eat everything, get your Gunslinger to 7, and then build out your board. It's much easier to keep a level 7 Gunslinger, or a pretty high level Gunslinger, and then over the course of the game, build out the rest of your board, even if you can't catch Gunslinger Scrapper hits. And so if you don't have perfect connection, then do that. And if you do have perfect connection, then you'll be able to just build out your board and then catch Gunslinger hits as it happens. So this is my normal setup. It's the double T setup with the Knight statues in the far corners. What ends up happening is I do the frenzy, the floral or what is it? What did I used to call it? Sharpen Frenzy. I do the Sharpen Frenzy setup, kind of. So the original Sharpen Frenzy setup, named because that was when Scrapper got talents, and the Floral Frenzy version of Blade Dancer became the better version of Blade Dancer. The Sharpen Frenzy setup is, starting with the top, it's 3 Blade Dancers, 2 Blade Dancers, and 3 Blade Dancers, and then you do the Knight statues in the middle corners. So you do it on the, okay, so the easiest way to call out squares, top to bottom is A, B, C, and then left to right is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you do in the A2, you do a Knight statue, and then on the C4, you also do a Knight statue there, or in the middle opposite corners. At which point you're able to do what I'm doing right here, which is bouncing Knight statue stacks off of the 2 corners that you're not using, and that's eventually what I'm gonna set up my board to. The one thing that you do have to just constantly do, and I don't know why the game feels much quicker, but I'm getting it, so you have to constantly move your Blade Dancers. You need to set this up in such a way that you are constantly moving your Blade Dancers. That is how you are going to build damage, that's how you're going to build stacks, and you basically need to get to 100 as quick as you can. What I'm finding is that when I get to like around, like on a bad but okay, what's it called, like a bad run, when I get to like round 8, I'm normally around the 60 area. I have like 60 Blooming Dash stacks. What you want to be is obviously in the 90 area, and I'm not even sure if that's even possible, just in terms of timing. Sometimes you just, even when you have a Gunslinger off cooldown, sometimes you just want to catch a Scrapper hit, which is why sometimes I might even suggest just getting your Gunslinger to 7 at the beginning of the game so you don't have to waste time in between. I've never tried that out specifically, but you should also do that if you have lag, and then you can just eliminate that idea. Because once you have a level 7 Gunslinger and then you build out the rest of your board, it's very rare that your Gunslinger will level down, and even if it does, it'll level down to a 6, and then, over the course of the game, you'll probably get another, a random Scrapper hit. So right here, I start to have like these, I have the 2 gold tiles on the left side, and I think I get 1 more gold tile somewhere. And then I just start, I think I'm already starting to do it here. So right here, I'm gonna switch the Knight statue into the A2 spot, which means that I'm going to switch the other Knight statue into the C4 spot. And then that's that's basically like the reason why I'm running Gadget. You have the ability mid-game, as soon as you have enough, as soon as your board looks enough one way or the other, you can switch your entire board into whatever you want to switch it to. And it's literally, if you have one more gold tile in the 3-2-3 setup, and not the double T setup, you just go for that. If you have one more tile on the double T setup, you go for that instead. And you can basically just like change your entire board at will. If all of a sudden you start getting like a bunch of gold stacks, then you can change your board because you have to. The reason why I'm running sword as opposed to spear, Blade Dancer needs the damage. You're getting enough speed with the Knight statues. You're getting enough speed because you're using high charisma off your gunslinger. So every time you do center moves, which you'll see in my late game stage, every time you move your gunslinger, with the single Blade Dancer in the center, you're giving every single one of your Blade Dancers on top of your Knight statue speed, you're giving them an extra 15%. The 15% is good enough. The Knight statue and the 15% that you're getting off the gunslinger, it's good enough. What you need is damage. You don't want to add speed on top of speed, because you're also getting it from the gadget tiles as well. You need to fix the thing that you lack the most. With your gadget tiles, you're getting damage and speed. With the Knight statue, you're getting speed. And with the gunslinger ability, you're getting speed. You just need damage. The Knight sword is going to push your damage, just your base damage. And I think that it's much better. And then I basically don't even full board. On the right side, the side that I'm basically not using because all my gold tiles are on the left side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my trappers on that side. I did contemplate doing 3 trappers, and that didn't feel like it was going to work out. You need that extra space. Right here, you can obviously see that I'm bouncing off of the 2 diagonal corners. That's basically your flow. You want to bounce off the 2 diagonals so that every time you summon in a Knight statue, both Knight statues get stacks. And then to the right middle, you're getting, that's your ditch square. And you're able to just throw your scrappers over there and continue just scrappering away. I did contemplate doing 3 trappers on the right side. I end up doing 2 trappers. I think 2 trappers is necessary. Obviously, you don't want them early game, so you don't summon them in until much later in the game. We're at round 7. I don't even do it until like wave 8 or 9, usually. 1 trapper is not enough, and I think that 2 trappers is fine. Leveling them up doesn't really do a lot, as much as you would think. And so it is a very big detriment that if you leave them on the field and they start leveling up, as opposed to leveling up your Blade Dancers, as opposed to leveling up your Knight statues, and they're stealing stacks, they're stealing level ups, that's going to hurt your late game. So all you have to do is just eat every single trapper because you don't need it, and then wait till wave 8 or 9, and then start leaving out your trappers. I do think that you need 2 trappers. There are some decks that try to run 1, and I don't get it. I've tried it, and I don't get it. I don't think you get it consistently enough. And I think you need the consistency, especially because Trapper is so inconsistent. If they're not standing on a trap, you're not getting any bonus. If the traps are not going towards where the boss is, you're not getting a bonus. That was one of the reasons why some people were running Chemist as opposed to Trapper, because it's automatic, but definitely don't do that. Just run 2 trappers, it'll be fine. The 2 trappers I run are in the A5 spot and then the C5 spot, and then I just use the middle spot as my ditch square, and that's basically it. That's the entire strategy. You'll see me do it a couple of times where I summon in a Blade Dancer in the corners where I'm bouncing. At a certain point, once you start like solidifying that this is gonna be your build, that this is gonna be your end game, what you want is that one Blade Dancer in the center, and then you can bounce into the two middles. So you're bouncing on the B1 spot and the B3 spot. Bouncing off of those two tiles is going to give all of your things 15%. It's also going to cleanse everything. It's also going to activate everything. And that's basically how this deck works. You always have active Blade Dancers. They are always getting 15% speed, and they're always constantly cleansing. And so you don't even have to, at a certain point, you don't even have to worry about getting Blazing Burned either. It's a perfect version of a deck. It's just everything about it. It's just a very well-oiled machine. But the problem that you're going to run into is that you're not building any stacks. You're not moving Blade Dancers anymore. You're just reactivating all of your Blade Dancers, and you're not building any stacks. So what I did decide to do, and I tried it out just for this game, was every time I summoned in a Blade Dancer, I would double move it. And double moving it will help you with the waves, and you're doing it early enough to where you have to watch your cooldowns, of course, but you should be doing it early enough to where not only will you activate your Blade Dancers and give them 15%, but you're also going to send a ghost shot to the wave and get a stack. So you're not getting a lot of stacks. It's just every time you summon in a Blade Dancer, just like double move it, and then you can eat it. And so then I start doing that a couple of times, but I think that will go far into to push you into the death waves, because if you don't keep adding to your damage, if you're only doing Night Statue damage, Night Statue damage isn't a lot. Once you get to 30 stacks, usually 30 stacks is when people stop. Because when you get to 30 stacks, you're getting 30%. That's when you have 30%, and then it's significantly less after that. It's 0.3 after that, and it's 1.2 before that. And so it might even be more, 30 times 1.2, whatever that is. I just know that it's at the very least 30%. And then you're just getting significantly less, 0.3% added up over the course of time. It's significantly less. But yeah, that's basically it. I didn't think I was going to beat this. I was very positive they were going to beat me. Phoenix, Kobold, maxed out. Not reincarnations, and not a, legendary hero, but Phoenix Kobold, man. And I was shocked at both how long I went in Death Waves with just a pure damage-based deck with no stasis, and the fact that I don't have a legendary hero. I think this is like the perfect version of this strategy. I have tried Enchant Sword. I don't like it. Getting pure damage from the Enchant Sword, but not getting the crit chance and the attack speed of the Night Statue. Like what I said before, the reason why I picked the sword as opposed to spear is because you need the damage, but you're getting so much of everything else from everything else. When you run Enchant Sword and you try to run spear is not going to give you as much attack speed as a Night Statue would, and so you're not balancing out the difference. And I feel like this balances out the difference a lot better. But yeah, and then you just scrap her away. Try to leave your lowest level in the center. Obviously, because if your center is a 7 and your gunslinger goes from a 7 to a 6, then you're just stuck. So just leave a level 1 when you're gonna set up your final board. Leave a level 1 in the center, even if you just have to summon one in. And then if that will eventually level up, and as it levels up, it becomes better, but you'll always be able to move it, and that's what's important. So don't leave, when you're doing this final setup, do not leave anything high in the center, is my last piece of advice. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'll catch you guys next video.